Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the Eastern Shore Undercover podcast. I'm your host, Earl Campbell, and I'm happy to be back with you after a long hiatus. I just looked, and it's been 6 months since we did our last podcast. But as promised, we made a promise that we'd start doing these again. Once we got the website done, we were finally done with the website. Can't be happier with how that turned out. And now we're able to keep you guys all informed with the website, with social media, and now with the podcasts. So without further delay, let's jump in and let's start talking about some recent issues here on the shore. So I want to start off with one of the hot topics that's been going around, and that is the 287 program that was discussed last week at the Wicomico County Council meeting. I think there's a lot of confusion and misinformation that is going around that's been put out about this, and a lot of that wraps up with some fear factor about what happens if it's passed and if it's signed by the county executive. And what I want to do is go over first how we got to this point and where we are currently, because I think that's a big misunderstanding and what has happened. So I did a little bit of digging, and from what I gather, it was around the end of July of 2025 that Wicomico County Sheriff Mike Lewis had a meeting with the Wicomico County Executive, Julie Giordano. And in that meeting, it took place at the sheriff's office and was meant to basically discuss potentially entering into the 287G program. At the end of that meeting, from my understanding, County Executive Julie Giordano told Sheriff Lewis that her administration would support his desire to join the 287G program. And Sheriff Lewis told County Executive that the council president, John Cannon, also supported it. So Sheriff Lewis basically had both pieces of the puzzle covered. He had the county executive who says, yep, I will do it. He has the county council president, John Cannon, saying, yep, you have my support. If you go over to WOC, they did a nice article, and in that article, President John Cannon stated that, he would be on board with the sheriff and the county executive, basically stating that in that article, he trusts Sheriff Lewis as Wicomico County's leading law enforcement officer. And if you want to read that, it was published by Mr. Kyle Orns on July 25th, 2025. I recommend everybody go read that. It puts a little more emphasis in the fact about, the council saying that they didn't know anything about this. Whether they did or they didn't, this goes to show that the council president, at least, said that he did support what was taking place and what they were moving forward with. So before we go any further, let's talk about the different models available for the 287G program through ICE immigration. Initially, as we reported on August 21st, 2025, the sheriff and the county executive were considering it's called a jail enforcement model of the 287G program. Now, that type of program basically allows officers to identify individuals arrested who are brought into the jail. And it has nothing to do with those people that are out here on the streets. A lot of people get confused about this, and they think, well, if they sign this 287G program, that means that, Sheriff Lewis and all of his deputies are going to be out with the ICE officers, and they're going to be knocking on doors and, taking people into custody, and that's just not the case. The arrested individuals have their immigration status screened by trained officers through this program, through this jail enforcement program. And if it's deemed that they are deportable, or they deport them out of the country and back to their home country, the individual may be placed under an immigration detainer and handed to ICE for the removal proceedings. That program that the sheriff and the executive were initially considering was initially what our press release was about, basically what everything that was in the media. However, after doing more research, it was determined that the jail enforcement model was not something that the county could logistically or even operationally do due to the short staff of the correctional facility. Keep in mind, they're down 30 correctional officers due to the fact that they didn't want to have additional sheriff's deputies sitting over at the jail. It just wasn't possible. So it was at that time that they nearly abandoned the entire idea. Said, look, it just ain't going to work. Let's move on. But then there was another meeting with the sheriff and the executive where the sheriff, really expressed his desire to move forward with this partnership with ICE. So what I learned was, after that meeting, the county executive had multiple conversations with the gentleman from ICE. His first name's Peter. He was in the county council meeting. They had him on a computer. I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Peter. Regardless, the county executive had several meetings with him throughout the months of August and September to discuss what was best for Wicomico County. They ended up on the Warrant Service Officer program. So that program was pitched to the sheriff directly and explained that the county would do the Warrant Service Officer program model, and it was much easier to pull off. Didn't have to worry about changing up. It wasn't going to cost us anything more because the people that are in place will be the same people that are doing the same exact job. A press release was sent out from the county executive's office, and of course we did the article on it, as well as many other news outlets. And that's when you started hearing all the grumbling at the county council meetings about the council not knowing anything about this, and they weren't aware of the details or what was happening. They wanted a work session. At that time, the county executive did not have an MOA. Once she got the completed MOA, she had the meeting with her legal team, who was Mr. Andrew Illuminati, to talk about the MOA and if it was needed to be voted on by the county council. Now, if you listen to the council meeting from last week, you'll also notice that there was a lot of confusion about whether the council was even needed. And even the council's attorney, Mr. Benson, he even questioned, is the council even needed to stick their nose in this if it doesn't belong to them? I mean, it's not their place, then why get involved? And I think that's what Mr. Benson was trying to explain. Mr. Illuminati was trying to explain it. But regardless, due to the MOA being an open-ended language, which means it's not a single year or a multi-year, it's basically open-ended. Mr. Illuminati felt that it was best to take it in front of the council, which was the meeting from last week. Now, again, this was kind of like a CYA thing where, they're going to, the county executive's going to cover her backside. She doesn't want any issues with the county council or, running into issues down the line with, because this is a pretty big thing with ICE. So that happened on Tuesday, when basically what happened was council couldn't make a decision. They kicked the ball down the road, and we'll decide on it down a couple weeks from now. So what does this all mean? Nothing happened last week. We keep seeing people get up here during public comment, rightfully so, and they make these allegations that families are going to be put in jeopardy and families are going to be this and that. This means absolutely nothing different than the way things are done right now, with the exception that if there was an agreement reached with ICE, law enforcement officers will be able to hold these subjects with warrants and detainers for an additional 48. I could be mistaken, but I think down in Ocean City, when I was a police officer, we did the same exact thing. They would go out to Worcester County and they'd be held there for, I want to say it was 48 hours. And I could be wrong about that. It's been, 13 years since I've been in Ocean City, but there's nothing else that is different from this model than this warrant. I'm sorry, from the warrant model to what's happening right now in Wicomico County. Nothing is different. other than a additional 48 hours to hold these people who have a warrant or there is a reason to hold them. And the other thing is law enforcement gets a little bit more protection because there's some security blankets that ICE provides to law enforcement to prevent them from being sued and stuff like that. So, again, nothing else changes. You're not going to see Wicomico County out there with, their vests on, their SWAT teams knocking down doors. You're not going to see Wicomico County Sheriff's deputies out at schools bringing, kids crying out of the schools. It's the biggest crock of crap that I've heard. That's not happening. It's just not. What they want to do is they want to protect their own. And ICE is a very hot topic right now. If they're going to be here, and they are already here, why don't we give our officers some more protections? And why don't we play by the books? And why don't we make sure that our community is safe? 48 hours is all it's changing. I don't care where you see it. You can do this research on your own. This isn't something that Earl Campbell just pulled out of a hat and said, that sounds like good. This is all stuff that you can do. Just do your research. It's an extra 48 hours, folks. That's it. So, again, a couple questions that we've been asked. Does this mean that the Wicomico County Sheriff's Office will be out searching for illegals with ICE? And that answer is no. I have no reason to not tell the truth about that. It's no secret my relationship with Mike Lewis, or lack thereof. I have no reason to protect that man. I mean, I'm not going to tell you a lie. He's not doing anything that, is wrong. He's just trying to protect the citizens of Wicomico County. Some other things we've been asked, if this means that ICE will be looking for people, and will they have an office here in Wicomico County? And the answer is they already have one here. It's on Naylor Mill Road. They've been here. You guys have all seen the calls posted here on Eastern Shore Undercover. That's not going to change. Again, people are trying to put the fear out there that, there's a whole bunch of change happening, and it's not. It's this, again, 48 hours. That's it. It's an additional 48 hours, 2 days. Let's see. What other questions have we been asked? Does this give by Wicomico County signing the 287G, does that give ICE authority to go into people's homes without a warrant? Well, you need a warrant for anything, but ICE they're not just going to go busting in every person's door that they think is wanted. I mean, it's common sense. This isn't rocket science. There is a small group of individuals who want to make you think that if the county signs this agreement, that it will put people in danger, and it's just not true. It's no different now than it was, a year ago, and it's no different now than it will be a year from now if they sign this agreement. It's just not. Nothing will change other than those individuals who deal with people with warrants will have a little more protection from a lawsuit, which I think we all can agree. Let's keep Wicomico County out of any lawsuits right now. And they can hold them for an additional 48 hours. And that is it. That is it. Nothing else, folks. People want to make this long and drawn out and make it confusing. That's it. 48 hours, a little more protection. That's it. So let's move on to something more positive, and that is the new Eastern Shore Undercover website, which we are very excited about. Changes that we've made, and we want to share them with you all. I know there was a lot of confusion that's happened over the last week. First of all, 2 times this week, there's been some issues with the website. Not crashing. I'm not going to say it crashed. But basically, it slowed down to where people couldn't open the link. Excuse me. You guys see that? It's my Chicago Bears mug. They play the Bill Bakers from Power 101.7. They play his Commanders tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, so the website slowed down, and everybody thought it crashed and it wasn't working. And what happened was we realized that people love talking about school closings. And I don't know if that's the parents jumping on and saying, oh my God, I hope there's no closings. Or if it's the kids jumping on and saying, whoo, I hope it's closed. Regardless, at one time, two different times last week, both were the same thing, was for school closings. We went from having a nice level time with, 5 to 10,000 people on the website at any given time. We're talking about on the website now, www.easternshorundercover.com. So we go from, 5 to 10,000 people on the website, jumps up to, 20 to 30, at one time, 40, 50,000 people on that website at one time. When that happens, basically it just, too many people trying to get on at once. So I think we have it fixed. I think we've got a solution to it. We'll see the next time we have some school closings. The storm, high tide, I don't know how it's going to react tonight, but if school's going late tonight, we'll make a notification and we'll see what happens. So first thing we want to talk about is probably the biggest change, and that is, our bread and butter, the calls that everybody likes to see on social media. We have now duplicated that and put it on our website. We've done that for several reasons. First of all, if Facebook ever goes down, Eastern Shore Undercover has nothing to post. Where are we going to post it at? We do have a good following on Twitter. We do have a good following on Threads. We do have a good following on all the other social media platforms. However, the bulk of our following is on Facebook. So if Facebook was to ever crash or go up, or something was ever to happen, we have to have a backup plan. So now we have that in place. You can go see those calls right on our website. Again, www.easternshorundercover.com. When you get to there, when you go to the website, regardless of if it's a mobile device or a desktop, towards the top, you're going to see this blue line, and it says breaking news in red. When you click on that banner line, it will take you to another page where all of the calls for service are listed throughout the day in chronological order. The most recent is going to be at the top. It's going to work its way all the way down to the bottom to the first call of the day. Each will have, in a navy blue line at the top, the type of call that it is and the date for which that event is taking place. Normally, these will all fall off at midnight that night, unless it's something that, a hostage situation would carry over into the next day. That's the only real time when everything will carry over to the next day. Below that is a highlighted line in yellow. That's your location. Again, we don't give out exact addresses, only if it's a business and it's being used as a landmark. Each block will also have a banner ad at the bottom of it, which is my goal to get some more businesses with some coupons and that sort of thing to benefit our community and to help save you guys some money. For those businesses that are interested in advertising your business on our page, give me a shout out. We have a small window, a small pool, I should say, of ads that rotate through. And we're going to really start hitting hard on that next week. We have a few up now. I promise you there's going to be a lot more. So again, no comments on there. Great part about that is I don't have to deal with comments. People that are banned from Eastern Shore Undercover, I know we've had some council meetings where people have complained that, it's not right that, Earl gets to delete you from social media and you don't have the right to know what's going on in the community to keep your family safe. Well, now I've made it so that everybody, regardless of what my opinion of you or your opinion of me is, you can still go on our website and you can still look to see what's happening in your community, and that doesn't change. I don't see you on there. I can, but it's not like there's ways that you can protect yourself that no one can protect you. DuckDuckGo. There's different ways. I'm just saying, I don't care who you are. You can go on the website and see what's happening. Driving down the road, you see an accident coming up, you log on Eastern Shore Undercover, bam. Versus going on social media and having to search for the call, go to Eastern Shore Undercover from here. It just makes it easier. So next up I want to address is the community alerts. This is another one that we really, really think is going to be good. This was designed for, those school closings that we just talked about, and road closings and Bay Bridge traffic issues and weather alerts. Basically anything that we think that you should be aware of, we're going to put under our community alerts. And very, very similar to the breaking news. Only difference is at the top of the website, it's in a red banner. So there's basically, when there's various road work that has taken place or when there's scheduled road closures, they'll be in there so that it doesn't affect your travel to and from work, travel to and from to get your kids. If schools are running late, we're going to put them in there. So it's very easy. It's going to be a one-stop shop for everything that you need, for day-to-day living. Again, when you click on that banner, it's going to take you to a dedicated page, and then on that page, each one of them will be listed, from the most recent information that we have to the oldest, and they will fall off again. Same thing that night at midnight. Again, they have the same ads. It's not the same ads. I'm sorry. They have the same banner ad at the bottom. We're going to get them pushed out. We're going to get some new ads put up there. We're going to reach out to some businesses. We're going to really work hard on that next week. This week, Earl's taking a little bit of a break because Earl's been busy for, 8 months working on things. Let's see. Again, the Bay Bridge traffic in the summer and in the spring when heading to Ocean City, when you're coming or going, that community alerts page is really going to be your best friend. Same with the parents and the kids who have to search for school closings. This will be an easier way for you guys to find it without searching 10 different news outlets to find out who's got it and who doesn't. Most of the schools have all agreed to send us their information, with the exception of, Wicomico County Board of Education, Worcester County Board of Education. But that's another story for another day. They're not as keen on Eastern Shore Undercover as some of the other counties are. So let's continue on. Our missing persons, we did a little bit of updating on that, mostly visual. I wanted to make that so that when people go on there, it's very clean to look at. My whole goal with this website was to make it very clean, very detail oriented. So the way you get there is it's the same location. It's under community, the little community tab at the top. Then there's a drop down and you click on missing persons. And we do our best to keep these updated, but please understand that we only post missing people from law enforcement agencies. And the reason we do that, we catch a lot of slack on this on social media, but there's a lot of these spam accounts that set up these fake missing people. I mean, there's a little girl that's been missing from at least 5 or 6 different states, from California to Utah to Mexico to Maryland, Delaware. It's impossible for me to verify who's real and who's not unless it comes from law enforcement. So I know there's people that reach out to me and say, hey, my daughter's missing. Well, your daughter's an adult. Is your daughter missing, or you just haven't talked to your daughter? And there's a difference. And people don't want to hear that, but it's just the truth. It's a fact of the matter. Just because you haven't talked to somebody doesn't make them missing. And if they're a missing person, and please do a report on it, and please say, yep, something's going on here, then Earl's willing to take that chance and post it on my website, my social media. We will post it out there and get it shared to everybody. Hundreds of thousands of people will see it. But I will only do that if law enforcement either sends it to me or I see it on a law enforcement page. Next, I want to move on to the lost and found pets. We did a pretty major makeover on this, so it looks a lot better. I really didn't care for the way it looked the last time. I don't feel that it did what we needed it to do. I wanted this to resemble the missing persons, and now it does. I'm very happy with how it turned out. The bad part about that is we rarely have any lost and found pets that get displayed because we have such a quick response in locating animals on social media and reuniting them with their families. So very rarely do we have a dog that's up there for more than a day, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. So, but take a look at that. Make sure you check it out. Once again, it's on our community. Click on Lost and Found Pets. And then there's one section for the missing dogs, one section for the found pets. On our events page, I want to point out that we did some changes in how it looks and how it displays on the mobile device versus the desktop. Changed around just to make it look a little better. And remember, folks, if you have an event coming up, it is free to list that event. We don't charge anything for that. You can do it all yourself. We just have to approve it, put it through our little computer so it sounds like we're talking about it. And then it gets posted. It's a free event. And now what will happen is it goes on more of a schedule. So basically your event will hit, let's just say Johnny's Carnival. Johnny's Carnival, he goes on and he fills out the information for the event today. It gets posted to the website tonight. Tomorrow it will go on Facebook. 7 days before the event, it will refresh on Facebook. And then the day before the event, it will again refresh before Facebook. So you're going to get 3 spots on our social media pages for your event, and it's going to stay on our website until the day of the event. Once the event's over, it will automatically fall off. It will stay on our website. So next year, if you have that same event, you just shoot me a text message, shoot me a website message or a social media message and say, hey, Earl, we got that event coming up again. Can you post that again for us? We're going to get in the back end. We're going to hit refresh, boom, new date, bam, it'll be back up. Replace the photos, and it's easy as that. Goes into the same routine, the 3 posts on social media, and I think that's going to be really, really, really beneficial to a lot of these fire departments that are doing the chicken sales and the events that earn money for these fire departments, FOPs, and various different organizations around the Eastern Shore. Final thing I want to talk about is the business directory. So our business directory, we finally got this where we want it to look. We've gone through several different changes on this, and I kept seeing a different business directory, and I was like, oh man, I like how that looks. Now I like how that looks. I like how that looks. And I kept changing it, and it kept costing me more and more money. And I think I've got it done to where I'm done. I don't want to change anymore. It looks great the way it is now. And we're excited for it. Take a look at that. Do me a favor. Please use it. All those businesses on there. I know it's not a lot of money to list their business, but it is beneficial to me because it helps me pay for more bandwidth. It helps me pay for the little things that I need to pay for with Eastern Shore Undercover. So please use those businesses. Those businesses that are on there support Eastern Shore Undercover. So it's very important for everybody to just take a minute, go on there. Oh, okay, we're going to go dinner tonight. Bam, let's go to one of these businesses. And I truly do appreciate that. So moving on, it's midday today. And like I said earlier, tonight it's the Washington Commanders against my Chicago Bears. I don't know if I'm horrible with this camera here. There you go. There you go. Bill Baker is always talking this morning. He's already talking this morning. For those of you who don't recall, last year, my Chicago Bears were winning. Fourth quarter, less than a minute left. I get choked up on it. But they threw a Hail Mary, and the Commanders caught it and won in the end zone. It never happens. Never happens. I'm 50 years old. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen a Hail Mary get pulled off, and it just so happened to be last year with my Chicago Bears and my buddy Bill Baker over Power 101.7, his Washington Commanders. He's probably going to be there tonight. I hope he's thinking about me. I'm going to be watching the game from the comforts of my living room, and I hope I have some Bear fans out there helping me support me. We're going to need all the help we can get. I did see today that we're a 5.5-point underdog, but that's okay. A lot of underdogs won this weekend, so maybe we'll continue on that trend. So to my buddy Bill, I hope you enjoy the game tonight. I'll remind you tomorrow morning if the Bears win. If the Bears lose and the Commanders win, I may go into hiding for a couple days. So I want to end this podcast with this. Tomorrow is National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. If you've watched TV today or if you've watched any of the news today, seeing some of these hostages reunited with their families that they haven't seen in such a long time, it's very emotional, and it's a tearjerker for these families, to say the least. And look, regardless of whether you like him or you hate him or you think about him, President Donald Trump has accomplished the unimaginable and is following through with promises that he made. He is working to bring peace around the world and end conflicts that many thought would just never be resolved. This war in the Middle East has just gone on forever. And he has now, with today's signing, basically ended that, which is truly amazing. You have people like President Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and former Vice President Mike Pence. they've all acknowledged President Trump's efforts and his ability to promote peace around the world. The sad part is that there are people right here in the United States that will still bash the man, and they will not put their animosity towards him to the side to move forward for greener pastures and for a brighter future. Our country needs peace, folks. We need unity. We need common sense answers to issues that are plaguing our country. Let's all hope that comes soon enough, and soon things will start to move in the right direction. Right now, this government shutdown is a pissing match between, Republicans and Democrats, and this one and that one. This one wants this, that one wants this, but there are families that are suffering from this. And I hope that, again, common sense can prevail and we can get our country back on track. And that's all I got for today. Again, it's been 6 months since we did one of these podcasts. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. I'm probably a little bit rusty. I probably sound a little bit off, but we'll get it worked out. We're going to start doing these at least once a week. Try to do them twice a week. Again, thank you for watching this week's episode of the Eastern Shore Undercover podcast. Do me a favor before I forget. Click that like and subscribe down below. Have a wonderful night. And go Bears!